Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. I'm your host as always, Rick. Joining me equally as always is Devon.
Hi, diddly ho.
Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about Koala Man. But before we get too far into that, let's go with our time-honored tradition of the nonsense, asinine hypotheticals. And you said you had one for me today.
It is the lowest of lowest hanging fruits and the obvious question to go along with what we're talking about today. So much so that I wouldn't be surprised if we accidentally stumbled over each other's dicks and asked the same question. But are you ready?
Yep, fire away.
Congratulations. In the vein of Koala Man, you must make an alternate persona. But the caveat is you have to use an animal from British wildlife. Cannot be extinct, has to currently be living here. What do you pick, and how do you make the gimmick work?
I think I go for a red squirrel with the nemesis of a grey squirrel that's like bigger, better, and more pervasive in every way.
Yeah, they cough constantly and they deal crack, but if one of them even remotely breathes on you, you just die.
Yeah. I mean, man, what more?
The cokehead squirrels take out the fancy fucking posh-looking beautiful squirrels.
Yeah, because red squirrels are so cute. Look at them.
And they mind their own fucking business because they're too scared to go near you.
Yeah. Apparently near us there's a one wood where reds and greys cohabit.
Cohabit is a choice of words.
Well, a case of the greys have not killed all the reds on site yet.
Right, okay, that's more in line as to what is actually happening.
Yeah, possibly because there's so much damn space, but that's never stopped a grey before, and possibly because they keep a lid on culling the greys as quickly as they can.
Okay.
So yeah, I just make it a cute hero who goes around like treating everything that's good as their nuts and collecting them, like collecting good deeds and having a horde of nuts that are just a list of good things they've done in the world, and they just sleep on top of like a pile of books that are like diaries of, oh yeah, I did this day, yeah.
You don't have to sleep, you don't have to become full squirrel, like Koala Man has an alternate persona.
Oh yeah.
Bear in mind, Rick, you're not being transformed in any way. You're just you, but you're dressed up like a bit of a twat doing good deeds in your community.
And I'm trying to think, is there anything more iconic than the red squirrel? Maybe a fox, but like they've got them in, they've got squirrels everywhere else as well. In fact, the only time I've seen a red squirrel is in Germany.
That's fair. I think I saw one in a zoo once because they're that fucking exotic basically at this point.
Yeah. The further north you go, the more likely you are to get red. So like in Scotland, you're probably going to get reds.
And Cornwall.
Yeah.
Which is very weird. Like it's the one sanctuary in the south where you could realistically expect to stumble upon a red squirrel in the world. I think the Isle of Wight might have a couple as well, but I might be misremembering.
Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah, that's mine. How about you? What would you make for a British superhero-themed animal?
This one's easy. It would be a badger, and I just eat loads of mashed potatoes. That is a reference only. I imagine most people who get that reference are near deaf at this point.
Yeah. Like it was an old show when I was young.
Yeah, exactly, man. We're referencing Bodger and Badger, by the way.
Yes.
And yeah, I'd go around. I'd have my what was it? I almost said panda. Fuck me. A badger pelt on my head, looking like a deranged Viking. But instead of slinging axes, I'm slinging mashed potatoes at pricks.
And you could always do the modern, in inverted commas, update of mushrooms as well.
I suppose, but I don't like that fucking song. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, it awoke. It made me realise that life had gone on when I heard Cub Scouts singing it.
Jeez. That was like a Newgrounds original, wasn't it? Or did it predate Newgrounds?
It didn't predate Newgrounds, but it was on Weeble's stuff, and I think it's still on Weeble's stuff. He's still active.
Jeez.
But he's not made Catface in like 8 years, but I think he is still making stuff and like hosting his own like mini Newgrounds alternative. It's more like E-Bound's World.
Yeah, which as we all know was shit. That's not very nice of me to say, but
yeah, it's mostly his own stuff. He used to churn it out pretty quickly. Like some of it was comedy gold, some of it was filler, most of it filler.
I mean, that's the thing though, isn't it? Is if you churn content out too fast, it's going to be mostly shit.
Yeah, and like from our generation, a lot of people remember the horse song.
The fucking what now?
The horse song.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, Rick. You're going to have to do more than that.
It's look at my horse is amazing. Give it a lick. It tastes just like raisins.
Oh, okay. Is this the same guy who did Magical Trevor?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense, because I heard that hook sounded like a Magical Trevor fucking hook.
Yeah, he's back and he's got a new trick. Matt Trevor is 10 times as slick as the last time you saw.
See, I didn't like the Badger song, but I fucking loved Magical Trevor, especially the Narwhal. Wait, I don't think Narwhals was Magical Trevor, but it was the same dude, right?
Yeah, same dude, yeah.
Narwhals swimming in the ocean, causing a commotion, because they are so awesome. I love that shit.
Big and pretty white, they beat a polar bear in a fight.
I don't know if they would.
No. I mean, in water...
Yeah, but that's not fair, is it? Neutral ground you got to go for.
Like, actually, in water, maybe still not.
No, in water, polar bears could beat seals in water. I don't think they could beat whales based solely on the size. Never mind their giant fucking tooth.
Yeah. The unicorns of the sea.
Man, we're gone real fucking... They stopped Cthulhu eating thee. They... Fuck it. It's just like a Pavlovian response, certain fucking internet trends, aren't they?
Yeah.
Anyhow, we've gone way off topic. Rick, do you have a question to respond in kind?
Mine was the same question, but I was going to go with other Aussie animals. So this is going to be limited to, like, what you know about Aussie animals.
You see, the problem with that is, like, they kind of did most Australian animals in Koala Man.
Yeah, they picked the two. They picked two of the most iconic ones, and then they showed obviously what kangaroos are like in the koala-verse.
Fucking dickheads. Could we tweak the question a bit, just so it's a bit more interesting, just because we kind of did the bog-standard Koala Man version? Could we actually get the powers of the animal?
Yeah, you get the powers of the animal. If you think the animal has powers, you get the powers of the animal.
Yeah, if we... shit, now I'm not even sure if this snake is native to Australia or not, but boomslang?
Okay.
Let's find out quick. On-site Google, boomslang is a snake. I knew that, thank you Google. It's environment. Boomslangs are native to Africa. Can't have boomslang. Fuck.
Well, I do know that the only venomous snake in Canberra is the red-belly black snake, and we saw one. It was very small. And yeah, just like you say with scorpions, the little ones, as soon as... They're the worst ones to get bitten by because they give you all their venom. They don't know how to regulate it.
Yeah, not quite true with what I meant by scorpions, because with scorpions, its little tails don't have fuck all for venom, whereas big tails means they've got a lot of venom, so you gotta worry. So almost the opposite of what I said.
Huh. Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, just a bit of behind the scenes, guys. There was a bit of a kerfuffle that we had to sort out, which means I had enough time to Google snakes from Australia. So instead of going for the cool named boomslang, I'm going to go for the even cooler named common death adder.
Oh man,
it's got death in its name. I could dress like such a fucking edgelord, and I could kill people with my fangs.
Yeah,
but have to be careful not to accidentally bite my own lips.
Yep, this is true.
So that being said, Rick, you've probably thought about this more than I have. Even though I had to have you tweak your question a little bit. So, yeah, what would you do?
I'm going to go with the venerable bin chicken. It's Australia's unofficial official bird, which it actually might actually be their official bird, but not with the name of bin chicken. It's the white ibis, and they're called bin chickens because they pick through rubbish all the time, and it's estimated that about 35% of all of their diets come from like landfill and bins.
Okay.
And I just make it into a recycling hero.
The national bird of Australia is the kookaburra.
Okay.
I thought...
Yeah, that's
I wasn't going to argue with your fact, but I was like, I can think of like 3 birds off the top of my head that are more connected to Australia than an ibis.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fucking everywhere. There's that, the galah.
There's the galah, there's the kookaburra, as you mentioned, and the all-important other bird, the emu, which Australia has officially lost a war with.
Yeah. Speaking of, he's coming up.
Yeah. So you're settled with being a bin chicken?
Yeah, I think a bin chicken's pretty good. Like, they had the chance to have a kangaroo as one of the humanoid heroes in Koala Man, and they chose not to. So I'm going to go for a less fun one.
Yeah.
Like, I could have had a platypus. I could have had, I think even an echidna is native to that area of the world.
Are they? I think echidnas might... echidnas are weird. I think they might be African, though. Here's the thing. I'm going to type in echidna, and I bet you any money it's going to fucking bring the first up result as, it's not. It is an actual echidna. Greek echidna was a monster half-woman. What? No, not this one. Location.
Yeah, they're native to Australia and like a little bit of PNG.
Yeah, it mentions Tasmania, but Tasmania, as far as I'm aware, is just Australia.
Yeah, it's South Australia that's so south that it's off. It's off the island. That said, it's pretty big. It's about half the size of Brit. So
that's not pretty big. We're small.
I mean, for something that's counted as just like a state, it's pretty big.
I guess. Anyway, with that out the way, there's a few things I want to touch upon before we actually dive into Koala Man Retrospective proper, if that's okay with you. Sure. There's something I want to address that I've addressed on the podcast already before, because I've shit on the man at least twice. Justin Roiland was an executive producer for this, and he got immediately dropped when the accusations came out, and no one has really said an official apology to him since the charges got dropped, and that's kind of shitty.
It is. Like, allegations are allegations until proven guilty, but apparently that means also after being proven innocent as well.
It's one of those weird ones where, okay, technically he didn't get proven innocent, but as far as I'm concerned, the charges getting dropped means that he either... It means one of two things. He's either innocent, or the other side thought there wasn't enough evidence to get a conviction, which admittedly doesn't mean he's innocent, but, you know, it's one of those weird ones where I do like to believe in innocent until proven guilty, and I realise that is a slightly hypocritical statement, considering that I was very quick to also jump on the bandwagon of, hey, fuck this guy. So, you know, for that I've apologised like 2 times already, for the 2 times I shat on him, but I think it's important to note that he's pretty much been scrubbed from Koala Man even as it's come out, you know?
Apart from, obviously, the one episode that he very obviously features in.
Yeah, he's still a voice in it, but he's been dropped as executive producer. They took off his company's vanity card from the end of the episodes as well.
They do have it on that episode, but not on the others.
Ah, fair enough. But yeah, it's one of those. I feel like it's important to address before we get into the actual fun stuff.
Yeah. So we begin Koala Man with episode 1, the one that we reviewed. So in lieu of going over episode 1, we'll talk about the characters a little bit and then do the other episode. You okay with that?
Oh, okay, I guess.
So we got Koala Man, Kevin, voiced by Michael Cusack. He's lawful stupid.
Yeah, and Michael Cusack voices about a third of the cast.
Yeah, like actually. They do have some decently varied voice talent, but when in doubt, it's another Michael Cusack voice.
Including voicing one Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. He's got his wife Vicky, voiced by Sarah Snook, who's also apparently famous, but I've not seen anything that she's in. Then we got the twins, Allison and Liam.
Are they twins?
Yeah, they are. Apparently they're twins. The reason that Allison is taller is just because girls hit puberty faster.
Okay, I just assumed that she was in a grade above the boy.
Yeah, I also thought she was like older than him until they said at one point that they're twins.
I don't remember them saying that, and I watched the fucking thing. I actually watched it. I didn't watch it in the background.
Yeah. It took a while, but as soon as I hit episode 2, I was like, oh, okay, cool. This really is worth the rest of the watch.
I will say this about episode 1 is that it does a good job of establishing the town and establishing the characters. But boy, was it not the best episode.
No, it wasn't. Like, it's possibly the weakest plot of the series, maybe on par with the Space Dildo episode.
Space Dildo episode? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd brought in that from my brain.
Yeah, it's the one that you forget about because every other episode is better.
It's funny for about 5 seconds, but it gets old pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the Beast with a Billion Backs, but in one episode.
I think that's doing a disservice to a Beast with a Billion Backs, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like, I like this show, but I don't think comparing that episode to that movie is fair.
Yeah. We've got a couple of girls at school. Michaela Taylor Mercedes and Rosie Yodels are the most powerful girls in school. Allison wants to usurp them.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. As a B-plot, Allison's quest to become the most popular girl in school is probably one of the most interesting B-plots I've ever watched.
Yeah, like, I was not expecting the eldest girl of I think like a minute older. I was not expecting the girl of the kids to be the actual, like, deuteragonist to a degree.
I mean, like, the first reveal of the chalkboard of craziness was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And yeah, they do the Netflix thing of, oh yeah, this B-plot goes throughout the entire series. In fact, that's the thing that ties the series together more until the end when you find out everything else else is linked as well.
Yeah, in fact, depending on how much of an influence Justin Roiland actually had on the show, and it's hard to say, being an executive producer means you could have a lot or you could have none. This show's got like 10 executive producers, so yeah. But it certainly seems like a trope that he might have suggested from his own like Solar Opposites experience, because Solar Opposites does the exact same thing, except it's with the little people.
Yeah. The people in the wall. And yeah, again, this was originally released for Hulu.
Yes.
So the reason that we got it as Disney Star is because it's a Hulu thing. And as we alluded to rather recently, Hulu is going through some changes right now. Yeah, it's weird.
It's going to be a real bummer if Disney Star goes away because of the Hulu deal.
Yeah.
Because I'm not paying fucking it.
Yeah, a lot of that is like some of the best things on Disney Plus that's not like... Basically, the best stuff on Disney Plus that's not things that we've sung the praises of from Disney, basically the Owl House and Amphibia, or the Marvel and Star Wars stuff is all Disney Star.
I do tend to find that the Star Wars stuff is great and the Marvel stuff is a bit shit.
Yeah. We've had some good Marvel stuff.
We have.
But the problem is, like, yeah, it all becomes required reading, which is fatiguing.
I don't think it's required reading. I think that's... like, you could skip anything you want. I was tempted to skip fucking She-Hulk, but then I saw some screenshots and went, it looks like it captures the spirit of the comic book.
Yeah, I think I've gone on record saying I thought She-Hulk was one of the best ones they've done.
Meanwhile, Miss Marvel was a bit shit.
Which is a shame, because the actress really threw her all into it, and it's like the internet was determined not to like it, and people blame the internet for the reception of it, but it was also not that great of its own merit.
I know why I didn't like it, and that's because half of it was set in a fucking school.
Yeah.
And hey, guess what? That's fucking boring. I loved it when they went to India.
Yeah.
Wait, did they go to India or Pakistan?
Well, it would have been to Pakistan.
Pakistan, my apologies. When they went to Pakistan, that was interesting, and when we got the flashback episode, that was really fucking interesting. And then we went back to Kamala, and it was a bit shit.
Like, going back to Kamala is fine, because it's Kamala's journey, but going back to school all the time, yeah, there was a little bit of Spider-Man 1 in the Raimi trilogy that was a little bit of school to, like, show that he's a school student.
I'll tell you what, it was a bit shit to go back...
That wasn't 25 minutes!
I'll tell you what, it was a bit shit to go back to Kamala, is because that entire end conflict was just so ridiculous. It shouldn't have happened. Certainly not in the way that it did. And it's one of those annoying things where you've got to let go of a certain amount of, realistic constrictions when you're watching something based on a fucking comic book. But why...
you gotta have the willing suspension of disbelief, yeah.
But why the fuck would this government agency continue this pursuit once the first camera turned up?
Yeah, exactly. They get Home Alone on camera in a school. Oh, man.
Man, I didn't expect to go on a tangent about fucking Miss Marvel today.
No, neither did I. Yeah, the other person at school that's worth mentioning is Principal Baswell. He turns out to be... He's a bit of a mellow guy. He goes along with a lot of things that people suggest and tries to put the pal back in principal.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of those weird ones where I'm not used to dealing with principals. Neither of you, I assume, Rick, because we have head teachers. But it's a similar sort of role, and it's kind of that a really decent portrayal of how a principal is, because usually, and I have to go on other people's what's the word I'm looking for, accounts, because again, this isn't the first-hand experiences I'm sharing here, where apparently the way it goes is the principal is usually a quite chill person, because they don't have to deal with a lot. They have to deal with a lot of administrative stuff, but they don't actually have to deal with, dealing out punishments and stuff. So they're a pretty chill person whenever you bump into them. The vice principal, however, is usually a dick.
Yeah, the vice principal's normally the one that you get sent to when you've been caught setting a bin on fire or whatever.
Oh, dude, have I ever told you about the time when I was walking home from school with some dude who I knew but not very well, and he just started lighting fires?
I don't think you have.
Okay, so one day I walked home from school with this guy who was a bit of a dickhead, I ain't gonna lie, but he wasn't bad, he was just a bit of a knobhead,
Yeah.
And he had a roll of toilet paper in his hand while we were walking across this massive fucking field that was right next to the school. And I was like, that's weird, but didn't think to question it. And then he pulled out his lighter because he smoked. And we were like 14 at the time, so that, put one and one together there. And he just started tearing off single sheets of paper, setting them on fire with his lighter, and then dropping them on the floor. And I was like, I've got to just remembered I've got to go this way to go home, because this isn't normal.
Oh man, we're not supposed to do that.
I mean, fuck, right? I can't. Again, I was 14, not the smartest person in the world, still aren't the case in point, I said, Aunt, still am not the smartest person in the world, but I'm smart enough to know that I don't want to be seen next to this chap who is lighting random fires.
Yeah. Yeah, at our school, there was, he was actually a friend of mine. He was doing the thing where you set fires with a magnifying glass.
Oh.
And he did that to a piece of paper, and he was like, oh shit, and he put the paper in the bin, and obviously that set the bin on fire.
Fucking idiot.
This is a school that had an entrance exam. Oh, man.
At least it would have been contained to the bin, in theory, unless the bin was right next to a wooden desk, but...
Oh, no, the bin was outside, and it was literally the most isolated bin in the school.
Okay, it's still stupid.
It was maybe 4 feet away from the nearest living thing.
It would have been really funny if you, grabbed a nearby teacher's mug of coffee, poured it on it, and it just made the fire light up, you sniffed the mug. That's vodka. It's 7 o'clock, ma'am.
Although, speaking of coffee, we did have one teacher who ended up having to give up coffee because he was having caffeine shakes.
Fun.
We made the joke, but it wasn't far off that he'd wake up, have a coffee, brush his teeth with coffee, have put coffee in his cereal, and then drive to school with 3 coffees.
We've got a friend who ingests a similar amount of caffeine to that, and I'm surprised he functions as well as he does.
Well, maybe he would have had a much lower pulse rate if it weren't for the caffeine.
That's worrying.
Here's an idea. If you're ever going to go donate blood, don't have caffeine before it, because it can make your pulse too high to give blood.
Oh, you're making me feel wheezy now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Big Greg.
Big Greg! It's voiced by Hugh Jackman.
I remember when we got to the end of the episode and it said Hugh Jackman in the voice cast, and it was like, who the fuck did he voice? Because Hugh Jackman's got a fairly distinct voice and it don't sound like Big Greg.
And then it turned out that, it is Big Greg, and also I think he's also Huge Greg. Cause
Huge Greg is voiced by Cusack.
Is he? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I looked it up.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got Big Greg and his brother Huge Greg. Big Greg is basically the mayor of the town. He's the one that everyone actually looks up to. And he spends most of his time cleaning up after Koala Man's messes.
You say that, he usually just makes a headache for Koala Man for no reason.
He makes headaches for Kevin,
I guess.
and then it's revealed at the end that he knew all the time.
I think everybody knew. It's like, that's the big joke, isn't it?
Yeah. He's like, good job, Kevin. I mean, Koala Man.
It's just so sincere, though, because we don't see Big Greg be sincere at all. And then that final line of him correcting himself to Koala Man is the most sincere you'll ever hear him.
Yeah, and this is after episode 2, where he talks to Koala Man saying, my assistant Kevin, he's gone to the bathroom, and he's been there for like half an hour. I think he's having a wank.
Even if that's true, that's a long fucking session.
Yeah, it is. We've got his friends, Spider, Maxwell, and Louise. Maxwell is a really old guy who violated the Red Hot rule.
Yeah, which, that episode really fucking broke me. It was so funny.
Yeah.
It also confirmed that this world is not our world. It's definitely an alternate timeline.
Oh, 100%. They go to such different, they go to such lengths to show you how different the timeline is because of this guy.
Yep, there's now a mummy living in space.
Yep, mummy living on the moon with, is it with Abe Lincoln or something?
No, it was someone else. I don't think it was Abe Lincoln. I think it was definitely a president. Yeah,
it wouldn't have been Abe Lincoln, because it might have been Teddy Roosevelt or something. But yeah, he's the, the mummy's the president and goes to space with someone else.
Sure, it's a famous American, and I can't remember the joke.
Yeah, me either. But that's not the joke. The joke is the mummy.
Yeah, and she's a mummy in 2 senses.
Yeah, because it turns out that Justin Roiland is her son.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the episode where she just comes down from space. First of all, my mind was blown because it was like, she still exists? And then the thing of my son. I'm like, what is this show?
Of course she still exists. She's been a mummy for over 3,000 years.
Yeah, but she went to the moon.
Spider is just the friend who always knows a guy and always can pull through. He's the one that stole a helicopter.
Yeah.
And then Louise really loves Kevin, and the moment that every time she tries to say it, he's like, "Not now, Louise."
I don't think she doesn't love Kevin. She loves Koala Man.
Yeah, she loves Koala Man. Yeah.
But it's one of those where like I know the big joke is Koala Man / Kevin is oblivious, but I'm pretty sure even if he wasn't, he seems like a loyal enough gentleman that he would rebuke her advances.
Yeah, Kevin and Vicky, for all the speed bumps that we see during the show, they have a very wholesome relationship.
Yeah, like the first episode, it makes it show. I thought we were going to get a fucking Beth and Jerry relationship between the two main adults, and no, it's not actually. Like, yeah, they have some clashes, but they're not dysfunctional.
Yeah. The quote for Vicky on the TV Tropes page just pretty much encapsulates it of, I support your hobby, but maybe it's time to take a break. You missed date night again. I was looking forward to a movie and a cuddle.
Yeah.
And because, she treats being Koala Man as a hobby. Kevin treats it as some kind of self-given divine purpose.
To be fair, Kevin has never told anyone about his weird fucking ghost koala vision.
Yeah. True. And yeah, his mask speaks to him.
Yeah.
And it's just like the Green Goblin mask. It's rather abusive.
It's very funny when he finally gets the new one and it just goes, see, I'm using a nice voice now.
I'm a much nicer one this time.
It's just the occasional fun jabs at the superhero genre as opposed to Australia is probably the highlight to me, because like there's a lot of piss taking of Australian culture in general, but the superhero jabs really, because they're so infrequent.
Yeah. Man, I think the pinnacle of taking the piss out of Australia is Cusack's two Bogan characters, Darren and Damo.
Yes.
They're completely different animation style to the rate of the cast because they're from other shows that he's made, like YouTube shorts.
Okay, that makes so much sense, because whenever I see them, the way their frame rate is a bit weird. I always thought like they came off the set of Salad Fingers.
Yeah, it is a lot like that actually. So it's like if a Beavis and Butthead character went on to Family Guy. They've got normal humans coloured skin, they're very obviously more they're more crude in that they are actually slightly more detailed drawn rather than cartoony drawn.
Sure.
And yeah, they're a bit like the two rednecks from all the Waco O'Green shows, like Farzar and Paradise PD and Brickleberry.
Yeah, no frame of reference, but go on.
Okay, just that they are a pair of rednecks, and
yeah, this film's like the most stereotypical Australian character you might bump into in this show, and I'm sorry anyone who's listening from Australia.
Okay. Bogans are basically like what we used to call chavs.
And I get the idea, Rick. I'm not unfamiliar. I'm just saying they feel real. That's what I mean. Like they feel like
they definitely feel real.
Everyone else is nonsensical and over the top, and these feel like some two random people you might actually legitimately meet on a street.
Yeah, meth heads in a ute.
Sure. While we're still on voice cast and characters, Hugo Weaving made an appearance.
Yes, he was the king of all emus.
He was also Summer Santa.
Oh, yeah. Summer Santa for Hot Christmas.
Yeah, he only appeared for like 2 seconds, and I would never have guessed he voiced either of these characters, because Hugo Weaving is basically a chameleon.
Yes.
Not because he's got an indistinct face. He's got quite a distinct look. It's just when he's on the actual TV and as characters, he doesn't mind being put in a mask for the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, he melts into whatever role he's in.
Yeah.
And you forget it's him.
Yeah. As a side note, for other surprising cameos, this one might mean more to me than it does anyone else listening, but Liam McIntyre apparently voiced a random army soldier dude for 2 seconds, according to IMDb at least. If you don't know who he is, he's the second actor of Spartacus in the Spartacus TV series after the original actor passed away. So yeah, it feels like the producers were just like, how many Australian actor cameos can we get?
Yeah, even Mindy, the spirit koala, well, originally a real koala, but then talks in the spirit realm as a spirit koala. She's voiced by Miranda Otto, who was Éowyn.
Éowyn?
Yeah, Éowyn in Lord of the Rings.
Ah, okay. I didn't know that actress's name.
Neither did I until I looked it up, but yeah, it's Éowyn.
Fair enough.
And Principal Baswell, and we saw him at the end of episode 1, the Kookaburra. They're both voiced by Jermaine Clement.
Don't look this up on IMDb, because it tells you all 3 characters the guy plays.
Yeah, he's Boris the Animal in Men in Black 3 is the one that I know him as, and he was also like the co-writer and executive producer of What We Do in the Shadows.
Boris the Animal, fuck a doodle dandy. I never would have guessed.
Yeah, it's just Boris.
But yeah, he appears to voice lots of monsters. He voiced Flesh Slump Eater in the BFG, aka one of the giants that isn't the BFG.
Yeah, therefore the one that doesn't matter. But yeah, I think that's. Oh yeah, the Kookaburra is there as well. We mentioned at the end of episode 1 when we did the review that was both a really cool Aussie themed name for a villain, and also it was what kind of drew us to look a bit deeper, like similar to the reveal of Sasha at the end of Amphibia episode 1. It's like, oh, okay, there's more to this show.
These are two shows I would never compare to each other, but you're so spot on, because the premise was kind of meh until the stinger, and then the stinger was like, okay, there's gonna be something more here, and I've got to know.
Yep.
Because I've got to be honest with you, until that ending revelation, I did just think that the main character, Koala Man, forgot to put the fucking bins out, and he's a bit of a prick. You know?
Yeah. And it's one of those, like, I'm not as tuned into the Australian accent as I would be if I was from there, so I didn't clock that he was a Kiwi.
Oh, what? So he's from New Zealand, not Australia?
Yeah, so, Jermaine Clement is a Kiwi, and they even say in the show that Kevin thought that Chrissy went back to New Zealand.
Ah, okay.
And after I picked that up, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to listen better now.
Well, I'm shit with accents anyway. I'm not as shit as accents as certain United States people who apparently can't tell the difference between South Africa and Australia, which, you know, they're similar, but South Africans are horrible. I stole that joke from I forgot his name, Jim Jeffries. I don't actually think that.
Yeah, South Africans sound a lot more like Kiwis to my ear.
South Africans always sound like they're getting ready to yell.
Yeah, I get you.
Whereas Australians just sound drunk.
Well...
How racist are we being right now, Rick?
It depends on the accent. Like, it's very easy to do an Australian accent as a drunk shouting person.
Yeah.
Although, you know, for most of normal life, people are not drunk and shouting. So, you know, you might have a bit of a culture shock if you go to Australia and listen to people who are not drunk and shouting.
You get a culture shock when you go to Australia and you realise half the people don't have an Australian accent because they're not fucking from there.
Well, they do, but it's a lot smoother than the.
Oh, come off it! The amount of fucking expats over there.
Oh yeah,
that's what I was going on about.
Yeah, fair enough. But like, even people who go over there, like, generally pick up the accent, but apparently locals can tell that it's fake.
All right, I've never been anywhere for an extended period of time, I suppose, but I can't imagine not talking the way that I do. I don't pick up accents; I pick up inflections.
Yeah, but like after 10 years, you might stop saying grass if everyone says grass. For instance,
I've never even paid attention to the way I say grass. I get what you're saying. Sorry, it's just you. It's not even a very philosophical thought. It's just that you say it, and then I think about it. And I'm like, do I say grass or do I say grass? No, who says grass? That's fucking stupid.
Don't be a grass.
Oh, don't be a fucking grass. Should we move on to episode 2?
Yeah, let's shall. So, episode 2 is, I think, possibly my favourite. It's the tradies.
It wrestles for the top spot because I did really chuckle at the Emu War episode.
Yeah, tradies run this town. And I think they did a really good job of weaving the A and B plot into this episode.
Yeah. Including the C plot that is not really a plot at all, where Vicky's pissed that Koala Man's shown up at school.
Yeah. And he goes sucking up all the fizzy pop to find out where it came from. Turns out that it's his because he bought it. Oh,
shit, yeah. And I installed cameras in the boys' bathroom. Like, you can't even see it. It's just under the ring of the toilet. You can't do that, Kevin. Why not? Because it makes you look like a fucking paedophile, Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no. It made me go, oh, you can't be that fucking dense, surely.
But yeah, the tradies have actual powers. Lady Tradie has her stop sign, which she can use to freeze time.
Yeah,
Sparky.
Literally, when I saw that power, I was like, she has fucking Zaweldo.
Yeah, just from being a tradie. Yeah, Sparky's an electrician, but he has his electric powers. Chippy has, like, command over wood, and Bricky has command over bricks.
Yeah.
And they confuse into the jack of all tradies.
Which was
like
a great
tradie
pun.
Megazord. Yeah. And yeah, the way that they get defeated is by being fed some fizzy pop, because that ruins their perfect physique.
Yeah, and Liam discovers he has psychic powers.
Yeah, I think they're awakened during this episode, aren't they?
Yeah, it's very odd.
And that's like a kind of overarching C-plot throughout the entire show from this point on.
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones where it's always subtle for him, as opposed to what's the girl's name?
Allison.
Allison, because Allison's story is a bit more overt because she has to be a bit more obvious about it.
Yeah, she's actively working towards her goal, whereas Liam just has the powers.
Yeah.
And then so that's the majority of episode 2.
We do get at the beginning, Big Greg vaguely promises, but not really, that he'll give a hero license to Koala Man if he solves a big case, and that's kind of what motivates Koala Man to help Vicky in the first place.
Yeah, and it's also it's Vicky that bans pop at school in favour of juice pouches.
Yeah, because she says that we should probably ban all this, and the principal goes, okay, sure, but it's all your fault if it goes wrong, and then fucks off.
Yep. And Big Greg undoes it at the end because he says, this town exports unskilled workers.
Yeah.
That's our only export. We can't jeopardize this by raising test scores.
Yeah, which is, unfortunately, I'm sure there are many a school where that's actually the case.
Yeah, and here's the thing. End of episode 1. Neither of us thought that Big Greg was actually the Kookaburra.
Oh, God, no.
Except that he was the only one who was actively antagonistic to Kevin in any way.
Yeah, but again, even from episode 1, they make it clear that Big Greg's just a dick.
Yeah, he's only a dick to Kevin.
It's one of those where it's the age-old story of a bully always needs to pick on someone, and usually that someone's the same person again and again and again.
Yeah.
It just so happens to be that Kevin/Koala Man is such a nice guy, he either doesn't notice he's being bullied or doesn't care.
Yeah.
But yes.
Then we got the Red Hot Rule.
Yes, now the opening to this made me laugh my fucking arse off.
Yeah, we've alluded to most of the plot of this already, but this is the one where it establishes that we've got a completely separate timeline to the real world.
Yeah, we get a flashback from Maxwell, but we don't know that until the end of the flashback.
Yeah, because he went to jail for like most of his life for violating the Red Hot Rule.
Yes, and what is the Red Hot Rule,
Destroying
Rick?
America. It's don't abuse Australia's power as something that's so far ahead in time to, telegram anywhere else in the world and tell them of events to change history.
The specific time is 5 minutes for some fucking reason.
Oh, it's multiple hours from like Britain and America, but like 5 minutes from where he was at the end of the episode.
Well, I'm just going to read the synopsis of the episode. The elderly Maxwell recalls how, due to Australia's 5-minute time zone difference, he prevented the Titanic from sinking. So in this universe, it's literally 5 minutes.
Okay. There's like a 1 minute difference when he rows out to shore, out to the little island to,
Yeah. But yeah, he, as you say, he phones up the Titanic somehow, because I'm pretty sure they didn't have phones on ships back then, but whatever, and warns them about the iceberg, which, by the by, anyone who knows history knows that the Titanic actually had plenty of warning about the iceberg. They just didn't think they'd hit it. So,
Yep.
It's one of those. But yeah, the Titanic doesn't sink, but as it happens, the Titanic actually had a sarcophagus with an all-powerful mummy inside it, and then sort of steamrolls from there.
Yeah, so in the abandoned timeline, the mummy would have sunk to the bottom of the ocean.
That's the implication.
In the new timeline, the mummy gets to America and takes over.
Yeah, unfortunately, the mummy finds a lover and fucks off to the moon with said lover, and America turns into a lawless wasteland, except for Hollywood, which somehow breaks
Hollywood
off and is saved.
Away. Yeah, it just breaks off, becomes Hollywood Island. It just roams the globe.
Now, why is it important that we learn this episode? Because of Chad fucking Wagon.
Yeah, Chad Wagon. So this is it Dom from Fast and the Furious that he's a piss take off?
He's taken the piss out of America in general, but his whole family shtick and his big old Mustang is definitely trying to invoke images of Dom from Fast and the Furious.
Yeah,
watch Fast X in cinemas now.
Or any of the other Fast and Furiouses on every fucking streaming service, so it seems.
Yeah, Netflix won't stop throwing them in my face, that and Harry Potter for some fucking reason. Like, we have Fast and the Furious and Harry Potter. Yeah,
Netflix and Now TV are both chucking them in my face. Now TV, basically because it's got Sky Movies, and they flip-flop between what their featured channel is. Sometimes it's a Fast and the Furious channel right now.
Right.
Sometimes it's just a Harry Potter channel. Sometimes they make it a Star Wars channel. They just make it a channel of, okay, we're showing all of these movies back to back all the time.
Fair enough. But yeah, Chad Wagon has an American-themed restaurant, which, not gonna lie, appealing in every fucking place they show up.
Yeah.
And Liam is like infatuated with him. He gets a man crush and starts looking up to him as opposed to his actual old man.
Yeah, I think a lot of kids in cartoon shows go through the "I wish you were my dad" thing.
Yeah, it's got to be a trope.
I don't think this is much a thing in real life.
I don't remember ever but then again, Rick, I wouldn't say I was ever abused. I could see people who were actually in abusive situations just latching onto any older male figure or older female figure and being like, "Would you be my dad or my mum, please?"
Yeah, like any what you see as positive role model.
Yeah.
I'm going, oh man, I do remember the copy pasta of "I wish Blastoise was my dad."
Like, they might be dealing smack, but they don't hit me, so...
Yeah. But yeah, Chad Wagon trains Liam into being a car pilot.
Well, you say that. It's basically a suicide bomber, right?
Yeah, for later.
Yeah.
And the idea is to suicide bomb Queen Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, we're going to gloss over that, because fuck it. But why is Queen Nicole Kidman in Dapto? Because she needs to crown the new queen of the sausage roll pageant.
Yeah, the new Miss Sausage Roll.
What the fuck, Rick?
Yeah, there's a this was something that Vicky lost in the previous during her time to Saucy, who was an actual sausage roll rather than a human dressed as a sausage roll, and now Saucy Jr. is Alison's rival.
Rick, I don't know if they show us, but who the fuck fucked a sausage roll? How does a anthropomorphized sausage roll give birth?
I think they're just a subspecies of sausage people.
When was sausage people established?
It wasn't. I'm just pulling it out of my arse because I remember that one time on QI where they translated the ode to the the haggis, and they translated it back into English from the German that they'd already translated it into, and it started out as Mighty Fuhrer of the Sausage People.
Okay, but yeah, and that was the end of that tangent, guys.
Yeah, that's where I got sausage people from anyway.
Still didn't answer my fucking question, so let's move on.
Yeah, I pulled it out of my arse.
Let's move on.
Yeah, the Time Bobbies are what arrested Maxwell in the past, and they're going to arrest him now because he changes the outcome. It changes from Nicole Kidman getting grilled to Saucy Jr. getting grilled.
Yeah, and we learned at the end of the episode, much like the one from before, it was all part of Alison's master plan, in that she subtly pushed Saucy Jr. in the way.
Yeah, but only in the second timeline.
Yeah.
In the first timeline, she didn't know what the fuck was happening, and it was Nicole Kidman that got grilled.
Doesn't Maxwell straight up have to swim to Tasmania in order to get the time zone difference again?
Yeah, something like that. He has to leave Australia to get even further ahead. So he either swims or goes on a little speedboat or whatever. But the Time Bobbies just pop out of the water like they can just emerge from the sea.
Yeah. Fortunately, Maxwell gets saved from more time in time jail by Queen Nicole Kidman, who I think says straight up, "Hey, fuck off, mate. He saved my life."
Yeah, he saved my life. He's all right. But he's only getting reported because Kevin reports him.
Yeah, Kevin says, "Thank you, but you know I'm going to have to report this."
Yeah.
What a dick.
Lawful stupid.
It's the worst. Lawful good always sucks. Like, anything. Yeah. Lawful in general tends to suck. But yeah, the end of the episode is, again, that ending shot of President Mummy returns and cradles Chad's remains. Vows vengeance on Koala Man.
So that's your hook for season 2.
Oh yeah.
Episode 4, like we said, it's a bit forgettable. The great one. Yeah. It's where people get possessed by the space thing.
It's not the worst plot in the world. It's very forgettable.
Koala Man and Vicky are immune because they've been touching prawns. And yeah, this is the one where Liam gets the most spotlight in that he can like reveal the psychic powers, and like as long as he's tuned in to like a radio, he can like actually talk and tell people what's coming.
Okay.
Oh no, it's when he's playing his keyboard, ain't it? Yeah, he can sing what he's hearing as eldritch horrors while he's playing his keyboard, but when he gets his keyboard taken off him, he goes back to babbling.
Yeah, that's not until the Emo War episode.
Oh, is that in the Emu War? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the one where
this is the one where they find a brain in a jar. That's what Liam's subplot is here. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, Vicky becomes aware of Liam having psychic powers, and James Showbag is the one who's is the brain in the jar.
Yeah.
Allison can't hear the fact that they're communicating, and it's just like tapping a foot in the background.
Okay.
And James Showbag wants to die because he's been kept alive by the carnival people, and he changes his mind as soon as Allison starts.
Yeah. And Liam starts going, stop, and Alison's like, he asked for this. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
If you start beating something to death and it starts saying, no, please stop, I want to live, you are actually... This is like the confirmation that Alison is not a good person.
Oh, she's a complete sociopath.
As if you doubted it before now anyway. Just for a bit of context as well, the whole reason why the Great One, as it's called, fittingly, as that's the title of the episode, gets down here and infects people is because Janine needs to rub one out on the Ferris wheel in honour of her late husband, and while she's rubbing one out, that gets attached. It's very gross.
And also, it's because someone sent a message from Earth saying that Earth is DTF.
Yeah, wasn't it implied to be the capsule we sent up like 30 odd years ago, which is just a bunch of Earth media?
I think it was just the Kookaburra on Space Tender.
I don't think it was the Kookaburra this time. I think this was an accident, this one.
Maybe.
Oh, it might be. Who knows? The final episode wraps everything up, and it's been a minute. Rick's got it fresher in his mind than I do.
Next episode.
Well, let's just
Ode to a Koala Bear.
Let's just very quickly wrap this up with how they solve the problem, and that is they blow up the space dildo, and the Great One realizes that a lot of people on Earth have kids, so he's no longer interested.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, so the next episode, Ode to a Koala Bear, this is the one with the parody of the Wiggles.
Yeah,
with the Tigglies.
This episode actually is the closest thing that came to disturbing me.
Oh, yeah, because you've got these aging cannibals who keep devouring children who are talented to absorb their youth and talent.
Therefore, Liam is safe.
No, Liam's not safe. Alison's safe.
Oh, was
Apparently
it? Okay,
she's not
my
talented.
bad. I thought it was. I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah, Liam has the keyboard, and what's her name? Little Nina has the bassoon. So they eat them both.
Yeah.
Well, they try to eat them both. Red Tiggly does eat Little Nina.
Yeah, and this kind of fucks Liam up for a while.
Yeah, because they confess their love to each other in the back of the van. But Red Tiggly, like in possibly the most body horror way, he just becomes even more of a monster than just a cannibal and just swallows her whole.
Yeah, I will say this sentence is a fucking hell of a one, which out of context is great. Nina is killed, but Kevin and Spider managed to kill the Tinglies. That's it, that's the sentence.
Yeah. And they also have an additional member of the Tigglies, Uncle Bumpy.
Who is a fucking psychopath.
Yep, and has been torturing that one guy for multiple years because he was not talented enough to be eaten.
Yeah, so they gave him to him.
Yep.
It's
if you're not disturbed by this episode in any way, then get some help.
It's one of those where it's the story untold, you know?
Yep.
It's used quite effectively. I will admit that the episode does start out quite funny with Kevin getting beaten up by a gang of kangaroos.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the B plot, basically. This is I think the first time that Kevin is the B plot.
I wouldn't say that really, because Kevin becomes involved in the A plot. I wouldn't even say the kangaroos was the B plot. It's just a bit of story that happens.
Yeah, and it's all because he wants Liam to have his jacket.
Yeah.
He's even like following the van in the first place. Not the van, the school bus. This is the first time I got an inkling towards maybe something's going on.
Maybe. I get where you're coming from, but when it came to specifically the kangaroos fucking up Kevin, it does seem to be heavily implied, especially by the fact when Spider turns up, where it's like, you don't trust fucking kangaroos, mate.
Yeah. Like the kangaroos, it wasn't so much the kangaroos, it was the fact that they all went to see the cannibals.
True, but that was all Kevin's fault.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like Kevin had to walk up an Australian highway, which, by the way, Australian highways are fucked. If you get stranded on them, you're fucked.
Yeah, you are. Like the odds of someone else coming that way are slim. Someone will come that way, just not during your life, the rest of your lifespan.
Probably not. Like they've got signs.
Couple of hours at best. Yeah.
They've got signs before you reach those long stretches that say this road is 265 miles long, for example. That's how long you've got until the next petrol station. Make sure you've got enough fuel because no help will come.
Yeah.
And if you ignore those signs, that's on you.
I remember something similar in America when we plugged something into the sat nav, and at one point, as soon as you leave like Vegas, it's like in 165 miles, turn left.
Yeah, sounds right.
Like there will be like they do have gas stations and rest stops along the way, but those are few and far between.
We call those murder highways.
Yeah. And don't go off-road because no one will find you.
No, that's where people used to do peyote trips, and that's why a lot of people just didn't come back.
Yeah.
But yeah,
next one, we have the Handies.
Okay, if you want to just skip, go for it.
Yeah, the Handies is all about handball. This is where we get introduced to Huge Greg.
This episode was so fucking wild.
Yeah. Turns out that Big Greg and Huge Greg were involved in some genetic research in the past.
Yeah, but fuck that. The thing that really threw me was like Big Greg had a relationship with a fish, and he didn't want to give up the fish, but the fish was actually into Huge Greg, so the fish faked her death and traumatized Big Greg so she could fuck Huge Greg, and then we see Huge Greg, and I shit you not, French kiss the fish, and then reveal their disturbing mutant babies.
Yep. And the fact that she only got with Big Greg to begin with to spite Huge Greg because he'd slighted her at the time.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Basically, the only fuck the handball tournament. It all really does get overshadowed by the Big Greg, Huge Greg revelation at the end. Alison recovers from her mutation. The only thing you need to know is that the Kookaburra manages to get a vial, and that'll be important in 2 episodes' time.
Yep. How apt that the Kookaburra gets the Kookaburra vial and not just like a wombat.
Well, it's assumed that he knew which one he was grabbing.
Yeah, I also thought it was the only one.
I
could be wrong, though.
Like, there was many vials. At some point, there was many vials. Like, they might have only shown one in the shot, but it's implied there are many. And yes, I will say the same word several times. Can we move on? I suppose we should talk about the B-plot, I guess, with Vicky going to Mount Kiera.
Yeah, to get the 6 Sonnies.
It's fucking dumb, innit?
Yeah, the 6 Sonnies brought Dapto good luck, and now Dapto is cursed because someone broke them by sitting on them or whatever. And so she goes to see the gods of Dapto, and turns out they have 6 Sonnies. They have lots of them. They were a bunch of party favors that they made for New Year's last year, so she can just take as many as she likes.
Yeah, and she gives them to the whole town.
But not before she has a heart-to-heart with
the god of seeing your potential.
God. Yeah, the god of seeing your potential. A literal sex god who is trying to... Well, he's not trying to seduce her, but he sees something in her that she doesn't see herself, and it gives her a confidence boost.
Sure.
And yeah, she saves the day with the 6 Sonnies by reflecting sunlight onto the manimals and burning them to flames.
Wasn't one of them an octopus?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, fucked up.
And this is when... Yeah, the whole reason that Alison and Liam are on the team is because they're just naturally amazing at handball after Sarah Sports Day gets killed by... did she get killed by manimals?
I honestly don't remember.
But yeah, Sarah Sports Day gets killed.
Yeah.
So Alison goes and does the sports.
Yeah, and Kevin...
Inverted comments for Sarah Sports Day.
Yeah.
And Kevin muscles in as the coach.
Yeah, he's like, I'll do my bit, Dapto, and this will count as family bonding time.
Mm-hmm.
And it really didn't go that well, so much so that Alison feels the need to cheat, and Kevin thankfully does manage to bring her back round with her. Does he actually do it with his speech, or does that sort of like loosen the jar lid for the actual solution?
I think it just loosens it up a little bit. But the thing that I like though is at the end, Liam says, "Oh, I'm so glad that Dad's love turned you back human," and Alison goes, "Oh, I only turned back to human because I knew she'd be even more popular overcoming the adversity of being a dingo."
Yeah, okay, yeah, that does track for the horrible lady.
Yeah. Number 7, Emu War 2.
Someone cracked the Royal Emu egg, Rick!
Yeah, I wonder who. And that's basically the plot. The Emu War restarts. The emus have their own society. The Emu King, as we said before, is Hugo Weaving.
Yeah. And to be fair, he is offering quite a generous deal all throughout the thing of, tell us who cracked the egg. That's all he wants to know. He doesn't want to fight the humans, but they're not giving him much of a choice.
Yeah.
Although it is a fucking hell of a sight seeing emus parachute down over a wall.
This is one where Kevin actually goes against his lawful nature and lies.
Well, yeah.
When he finds out that it was Vicky that cracked the egg, he just does a 180 and goes against the thing the rapport that he's built up with the king, and of we're both good blokes, we're both trying to do the best that we can for the people that we love.
Yeah.
And he just goes, actually, I'm not a good bloke. I cracked the egg, when obviously he wasn't, because he's covering for his wife.
Yeah, and everyone questions in disbelief, why would you do this, Koala Man? Even the people who think he's kind of a dickhead anyway. And he goes on a rant as to, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of doing this just to get spat on, and this, only to be yelled at by dickheads.
Yep.
Fortunately, he doesn't incur the death penalty.
Nah, although I believe this is when he does get taken away by the Kookaburras.
Yeah, but, that wasn't exactly behind the emu's plan. The emu was just like, you must be banished from Dapto.
Yeah, so he gets to his own little island, and, the Kookaburra in the next episode ties him up.
Isn't the island in the shape of a toothbrush?
Yeah, Toothbrush Island.
Yeah. Did he get tied up? I don't think he got tied up. I think he just got left on the island and he ended up getting...
Oh, he gets left on the island in this episode. In the next episode, the Kookaburra shows up and taunts him by tying him up and all that.
Does he? Okay.
And that's when his mask... He loses his mask while he's tied up because, he falls off and gets washed out to sea. And then it turns up again.
I don't remember him getting tied up. I remember him getting stuck in a tree.
Oh, he was tied to the tree to look like a koala.
Okay.
To, like how they just cling onto branches as long as they can.
I wasn't arguing with you. I was just rolling with it.
Sure. But
before we move on, you brought it up earlier, Liam and his piano.
Yeah, Liam, while he has his piano, can sing the prophecy of the Emu War.
It's almost Crimson Kingy.
Yeah, as soon as it gets taken away from him, he just goes back to babbling.
Yeah, modern day prophet.
Yeah.
Alison breaks out of her sociopathic circle spiral of doom, or at least the beginnings of it, because we find out why specifically next episode. But in this episode, it's just like, oh, she didn't push what's her name, Rosie, to death.
Yeah, she's Rosie is growing on her, and when Liam goes to hospital for going into a coma after he loses his powers, she gives Rosie a kiss, and Rosie goes, "Yeah, I'm glad you did that."
Yeah,
and yes, we have the finale.
Hot Christmas.
Yeah, because if you didn't know, Australia is on the southern hemisphere. Their seasons are reversed to the normal hemisphere, so when it's Christmas time, it's hot.
Like, it's so weird to think about. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
Yeah, apparently they just, have... Sometimes they decorate palm trees, but normally it's just they have a Christmas Barbie.
Sure. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to have fir trees in Australia in the first place.
No. Why do you need an evergreen when it's hot? It's even hot in winter a lot of the time.
Exactly. Very important to note, this last episode has a 1 month long time skip.
Ah, yes.
There's a month between last episode and this one. Not in release date, it all released on the same day, but in universe.
Yeah, so in the absence of the Koala Man, the Kookaburra is able to fill the shoes of Dapto's superhero, but he's not very good at it.
Well, it's not. It's kind of telling, isn't it? Because he gets told off very quickly for a lot of simple blunders, whereas Koala Man would also make those blunders and get told off. But the difference is Koala Man would just roll with it, whereas Kookaburra immediately goes, "Ah, fuck you."
Yeah, you don't deserve a hero. You'll have a villain instead.
Well, I don't think he ever actually does that. He fucks off when the fire starts raging, but he doesn't straight up say, "I'm a villain."
He kidnaps Vicky and the kids.
Yeah, his idea is that he's going to make them his family now or something, right?
Yeah, takes them to his nest in his old house, which has been abandoned apart from him for a long time.
Yeah, doesn't kidnap Alison for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah, because she's with Rosie.
Yeah. What do we learn about Rosie, Rick?
She's Rosie too.
Yeah, Alison has to save Rosie, and who does she have to save Rosie from? 2 more Rosies.
Yeah, Rosie 1 and Rosie 3. The Rosie 1 and Rosie 3 are doing exactly what Alison is doing, but on a much grander scale.
Yeah, they plan to take over all of Australia.
Including usurping Queen Nicole Kidman and becoming the new Queen of Australia.
Like, I assumed that's what it meant anyway from wanting to take over Australia, is taking the throne.
Yep, and turns out the reason that they're so popular and perfect is because there's 3 of them, and they can literally devote an entire Rosie to being perfect at that one thing, when any normal person, has to sleep.
But yeah, Alison's Rosie ends up sacrificing herself, and all 3 Rosies end up dying, and Alison... Boy, wouldn't that fuck you up at 14?
Yeah, totally. I mean, now both kids have had their first love die in front of their faces.
Yeah. We'll jump forward very slightly just to wrap up the kids' storyline, I suppose, and that is the story ends with Alison still has 2 tickets to... Is it Hollywood specifically, or just America?
I think it's Hollywood Island in particular, yeah. Because Hollywood Island is docked right now.
Right.
And it will leave.
So, yeah, she's still got 2 tickets, and she gives them to Liam because she doesn't fucking need him anymore.
Yeah, she doesn't need him anymore, and she knows that Liam is growing as a person and kind of needs to be away from Dapto for a while.
Yeah.
Another thing that we skipped over slightly is that Alison meets up with Vicky while they're neither of them, before Vicky is captured, and says, "I gotta go help Rosie," and Alison's like, no, stick together as a family, and Vicky goes, "But I think I love her," and Vicky goes, "A lot to take in, go to her."
Yeah, you got the names mixed up a few times there, but I did. That was the gist of it. Alison fucks off to save Rosie, and Vicky gives her blessing because Vicky believes in true love.
Yeah. A lot to take in for today, but great. She sounds like a lovely girl. Bring her home.
Ah, yes. But yeah, you mentioned it already. Kookaburra has the family kidnapped to a certain extent. Reveals himself to be be the principal, where I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. The principal is actually Christopher. Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yep. Pissy Chrissy.
Pissy
and we get
Chrissy,
the backstory on Pissy Chrissy.
Yeah.
But, after he pissed himself,
he never
vowed
pissed
never
again.
to piss again. And his parents were disappointed with him and wanted to move away where he wouldn't be an embarrassment to the family name. Both of them died. He moved in with his grandma and her pet kookaburra, and eventually she died. And he's had the house to himself ever since.
Didn't he snap and then kill the kookaburra?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. It's one of those where it's theorised by Kevin during this confrontation, or rather near the end of it, that holding that much piss in has probably infected your brain to a certain degree, Chris.
Yeah, there's a lot of toxins there. Maybe you should get them out. And after the fight, he gets a chance to. He gets a chance to just let it all out. He extinguishes the town with 43 years of backed up piss.
Yeah, it's one of those as well where, in case you weren't sure the kookaburra was a vaguely veiled Joker reference, he's even his origin story is produced by toxin.
Yeah. And he does turn himself from human in kookaburra suit into a kookaburra manimal.
A strangely ripped kookaburra manimal.
Yeah, and that's how he stays. The only thing that ties him back to his original form is he still wears the same glasses.
Yeah. He also says that Dapto doesn't need two superheroes, so I'm going to head off to Albion Park, and flies for about 2 seconds and goes, actually, I think the border technically starts here.
Yeah. It's just like Nightwing going to Bloodhaven. Like, I can't stand to be in Gotham anymore. I'm going to Bloodhaven. It's like 2 minutes away.
But the difference there is, well, it's not even difference. It's actually a fairly decent similarity in that Batman doesn't leave Gotham. Yeah. So, that is far enough away if you don't want to be around Batman.
Yeah. If there's crimes to solve and it's outside of Gotham, you're going to have a real good reason for Batman to leave.
Yeah, obviously that rule kind of goes out the window during Justice League comics, but whatever. Man, the thing that blows my mind about the DC universe is literally across the river is Metropolis.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you fucking hate waking up every day in Gotham and going, oh, what crazy fucking madman is going to ruin my day today? Look out the window and you see Metropolis across the river. All they've got to deal with is Lex Luthor. He's a bit of a dick, but
he invests.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the only investment that Gotham has is now and again the Wayne Foundation will just release some money and build another orphanage.
The Wayne Foundation is constantly pumped. Like, okay, it depends on the storyline and how long Batman's been a hero for, but there's always a point where Batman realizes he has to be attacking the problem on two fronts, and once he realizes that, he's constantly investing in the city as Wayne while beating the shit out of villains at night time as Batman. The only problem is Bruce Wayne's got a lot of money, but he ain't got that much money.
Yeah, and also the more he invests, the more people who just want the money come to be invested in.
You've also got the other problem of the fact that Batman is one dude and he hates other superheroes being in his city.
Yep.
And it's like
the best he can put up with is a sidekick. If you proceed beyond sidekick, you're no longer welcome in Batman Town.
Well, he makes an exception for the Bat. Anyone he's trained, he tends to be somewhat agreeable with because he knows he can trust them not to fuck up. But it's one of those where, like, you can't just have Superman patrol a city one night out of the year. Don't tell the villains what night it is, and then you're sorted.
Yeah. I like that part. That one little extra bit. Don't tell the villains what night it is. Like, they know it's coming. Is it Superman night? No. Is it New Year's Day? Oh, okay. Superman's probably not going to show up today. However,
there is a non-0% chance
that he's just going to do it today just to piss with us.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, jeez. Anyway, Liam moves to Hollywood. The end of the episode is a little bit grim in that it's snowing, and Vicky goes, oh, it's snowing, and Koala Man points out that there's no snow this time of year. That's just ash from our dead friends.
Yep.
Which is so fucking horrible, but also so fucking funny.
Yeah, from the town that's burnt down, some of which including friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we say, we got a pat on the back from Big Greg of well done, Koala Man.
Yeah.
I mean, well done, Kevin. I mean, well done, Koala Man. Because Big Greg got rescued from a massive puddle of piss that he was hiding in because he couldn't save the whole town on his own.
But you got to give him credit because he did fucking try at the beginning when the fire started raging. He fucking ran into the fire, quickly realised he couldn't solve it, but he tried.
Yeah, absolutely. He was doing his damnedest, but it was too much for him.
Yeah, if only I'd properly funded the Dapdo Fire Department.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see if they can get Hugh Jackman in the recording studio again for season 2, if they get one.
I mean, I hope so, because I hope he had fun with Big Greg.
He had to have done, because the amount... it's just a stupid, over-the-top fucking character. I can't imagine he would have said yes if he didn't want to voice it.
Yeah, he's a hulked-out Croc Dundee.
It's kind of like how Gilbert Godfrey had, like, 2 lines at the end of Smiling Friends, you know?
Yeah.
Like, these sorts of people are big enough that they can say no to jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. We do get a post-credit scene in the final episode.
Yeah, Koala Man's playing his guitar, and he gets a phone call from the Under-Commonwealth.
Yeah.
And they formally invite him to join, like, the Justice League of Australia.
Yeah.
And he puts the phone down, bloody telemarketers.
Oh, it's such a shame, because I have no doubt if we get a season 2, and I hope we do, that these guys will become a bigger player in the series, but fuck, is it an interesting concept, eh?
Yeah. A whole gaggle of Aussie superheroes.
Yeah.
And, we've been denied them for now, but specifically just for now.
It's one of those where there's a lot of balancing plates for plot hooks for season 2 in the works, so I really hope they get renewed. I hope they get another season. I'm sure Cusack would be over the moon if he got to do another season.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's certainly done enough groundwork to warrant a season 2 at the very least. But I'm not a Disney exec, and they like to randomly pull plugs just as much as any other studio.
Yeah. And I think I've said it on the regular reviews when we were talking about this, that I think this is my favourite Cusack show. I know you like Smiling Friends slightly more. I like Smiling Friends as well, but I like this slightly more.
I shit you not, Rick. You said those words verbatim.
Yes, pretty much. But yeah, we both like this guy and his work, so we both want to see it continue.
Yeah, it's great.
So, with all that said, do you reckon it's time for our final 3?
I mean, you're the host, Rick.
Yeah. So, from the entirety of Koala Man, do you have a favourite moment?
My favourite moment, it's a real toss-up because there's 2 great episodes. I'm going to pick a moment from episode 2, and that was it was a little moment. It was stupid, but I found it funny, and that was the borderline coked-out dinner lady going all hush-hush and setting up the black market chain with Alison and Liam for the sodas. It was so dumb, but I loved it. It's a little moment, like, what's her name? Janice, I want to say? Janine?
Yeah, I think it is Janice, yeah.
Janine, I got the name up. It's Janine.
It's Janine, okay.
She was, like, she wasn't overused, but she was vital in a lot of little plot lines, and that was just, like, the first one, you know?
Yeah, I feel you.
The problem is I'm a bit further removed from the actual episode in my memory compared to you, Rick, because I know you watched it fairly recently. I watched it, like, half a year ago now, it feels like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my favourite moment. What about you?
I would say from the same episode, it's just the whole introduction montage of the tradies.
It's hard to beat.
Yeah, I love those characters. And yeah, they're all dead now, but I love the concept of the characters.
Fortunately, there are many tradies, so...
Oh yeah, the tradies are many, so you can get more. It's just you're not going to get these ones.
Yeah.
But we can't always talk about the good. We sometimes have to riff on what was not so great. Do you have a weakest link?
It's real difficult this time around because the series is short, the episodes are short, and they cram a lot into what they've got. So I don't think there's anything I'd do to change the formula to make it better, but I'm also not a writer. So it's a tough one. I think possibly the cast isn't all that diverse, and by that I mean a third of the cast is voiced by Cusack himself. So, you know... Perhaps get a bit more voice talent, perhaps introduce a bit more wacky characters, but at the same time it's a first season, so you don't want to oversaturate the pool, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. Like by the same token, like, Rick and Morty's done pretty well on mostly just Justin Roiland.
Yeah, absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that, and again, I'm clutching at straws here. It's one of those where, like, we know we're going to get more characters in season 2 because they've set up the baseline for a bunch of them. You know, It's just, you know, I have to pick something, and I think the lack of characters and the lack of diversity. All the villains are Australian, apart from Chad Wagon, you know?
Yep, and technically the Kookaburra.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say something controversial, Rick. That's also racist. New Zealand, Australia, what's the fucking difference?
The ocean.
I'm taking the piss. But, you know, it's one of those where it would be nice to have a bit more diversity. They've kind of purposefully nuked the world in an attempt to explain why there's no diversity.
Unfortunately, I was taking a sip when you said I'm taking the piss. And yeah, that would have solved the problem with the Kookaburra a long time ago.
Yeah, sure. Like, could you just imagine if we get a villain akin to, like, Grand Moff Tarkin in Season 2?
Yeah.
Why am I bringing up? Because I've still got the image of Grand Moff Tarkin firing Kingdom Hearts in my head. But yes.
Kingdom Hearts when ready.
But yes, Rick, what about you? Can you think of a weakest link?
I think my weakest link, I think we mentioned it a bit in the episode, is that episode 1, other than introducing the characters, was rather a weak episode, especially compared to what came immediately after episode 2 and 3 and...
Skip 4.
Specifically 2 and 3. 2 and 3 were great episodes. 1 and 4 were the most forgettable, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 was just like the arc. So if I were going to change anything, I'd probably cram the introductions into episode 2 and make that like a much better episode 1.
I don't think you can. I think if you put the introductions in episode 2, it then takes away from the tradies, which is the big joke of episode 2.
Yeah, fair enough.
I get what you're saying. It's just unfortunately you need an episode that just introduces concepts and characters, otherwise it ruins the pacing of another otherwise good idea.
Yeah. Man, another thing I liked about episode 2, sorry, just mini tangent, is the lady who needs help changing to HDMI.
Okay.
And every time he just says one thing, and she goes, "No, you're going too fast for me. You're going too fast for me."
Yeah.
Just everyone knows a grandma.
Yeah. Like I've seen images of people going like, kids these days don't know the struggle that we used to have, and showing the old school AV plug-in where it's 3 wires, and the top post is you had troubles with that. You just match the fucking colours.
Yeah.
It's not fucking rocket science. The only rocket science part about it is sometimes you didn't need the white plugged in.
Yeah.
Like
and sometimes the hardest part with that is finding what channel those plugs went to.
Usually AV1, yes. Rick. If it wasn't AV1, funny enough, it was AV2. It wasn't tough.
Channel 6.
Okay.
But that was also cloned on channel 36. So when you went up on the TV, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 for video, and then 36, and then back to 1.
Okay, but again, the plugging in part wasn't difficult.
No.
Even the bit you're describing isn't difficult. You just got to find the right fucking number and then remember it.
Yeah. Or tune it in yourself and save it as that channel.
Sure.
Which, it's a non-zero task, but once you've done it once, you kind of have a feel for it, and you can learn how to do it on any other TV.
Well, I remember when I was a kid, my dad set up my PlayStation 1, plugged it into the TV and did it all up because I was a kid. When I got the PS2, he didn't. I had to do it myself, and I thought it was going to be a difficult task because he was very annoyed when I asked him to do it for me, the PlayStation 1, I mean. And then the PS2 was very easy, and I was like, connecting wires to things isn't that difficult. I don't know what the problem was. Still don't. Never asked.
Yep. Like, the most annoying thing about wires for me right now is getting back there and making it look all neat for someone who's a neat freak.
Oh, I don't bother with that. That's an uphill battle with wires. I did get a cable tie once, like a tube, and then quickly realised that the tube was pointless.
Yeah, because one cable fits in it, the second cable fights you.
It was worse than that, Rick, because this tube, which I bought, said it was a wire tube. Every other wire tube I've encountered in my life has a split in it, so you can just put the wire in.
It was a hose.
And it was a hose, and I was like, the plug don't fucking fit through the hole. How the fuck am I meant to do this? I can't take the other end, because the other end is, because it's a power cable for the TV, it's not unpluggable.
Yeah. Some of them will fit through there, but if you get to the size of a kettle lead that you have on a PC, that won't fit through one of those, and that's it completely defeats the point. All it does is make the one cable that you get in there thicker.
It's fucking stupid. Anyway, I very quickly threw that away. It's like, you should return it. It cost me £3 and I can't be asked to have the fight.
Yeah, it's going to cost you almost that in the bus fare to get back to it.
Ugh.
But let's get to our finale. From Koala Man, who's your MVP?
Michael Cusack.
Yeah.
It's his show.
Ditto.
It was funny. Do we need to say anything else? We've pretty much wanked the guy off for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's same from me, dog. We're both singing the same guy's praises, and I think he hit the nail on the head with this show. It was heart from start to finish, which I wasn't expecting. everything, and it was just great.
It's one of those as well where I've seen a few complaints about this show, and they're all the same complaint. Do you know what that complaint is, Rick?
What, that they swear?
No, it's too Australian.
Fucking what?
It's like we're not Australian enough to understand half the jokes, and it's like, well, you and I are British, Rick, and admittedly, British culture is probably closer to Australian culture than American culture is. But how the fuck can you not relate to the jokes? The jokes are universal. They just happen to have an Australian twang.
Yeah, like the whole point of the gag is often just, this is how it is in Australia. This is us introducing it to you, and hopefully after we introduce it to you, you can see why it's funny.
Yeah, the Queen of Australia is Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. And tradies of worship.
And the Emu Wars was a real thing. Look it up.
Yeah.
You know, I remember first discovering the Emu Wars, as I think everyone did. Wasn't the total casualties on the Emu side literally like 3?
Oh, there was loads, but apparently the emus still are counted as the victors because they survive as a species.
Yeah, like one of the things is you can shoot a ton of emus with a shit ton of machine guns if you want, but emus are surprisingly hardy and they can run pretty quick.
Yeah, which is why you need to mount your machine gun on a ute, pretty much.
Which I don't think worked out for them historically.
No,
but hey ho, look up the Emu Wars. It's fascinating. No joke. Like, it's funny to joke about, but like the reasoning behind it and the logic, which there is actual logic, is actually a pretty good read. It's a good waste of an hour. Yeah,
there was an explosive population of emus at a time of economic hardship.
Let's not explain it. Let them discover it themselves.
Yeah, there we go.
Like, that's what I was trying to avoid getting into detail, because otherwise we'll be here for another 20 minutes. Let's wrap up the episode, Rick.
Alrighty. So if you like the episode, you've got a comment section down below on YouTube. If you're watching via or listening via one of the many audio platforms, you can send us an email instead, which would go to...
You can tell I hit a nerve because Rick went into hyperdrive with his speaking. But yes, it's nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Once again, it is nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you made it this far, as always, you're our favourite people. So it's going to be a goodbye from me.
And it's going to be a goodbye from me. I can't do a kookaburra laugh, so I'm going to throw it to Rick and hope that he can.
No, I'm not even going to try.